Princess Diana was not born into a fairy tale. She was born into expectation. Diana Frances Spencer came into the world on July 1, 1961, in England, into a family close to the royal circle. From the outside, her life looked privileged. But behind palace walls, her childhood was marked by loneliness, insecurity, and emotional distance. Her parents' marriage fell apart when she was young. Diana watched her family break, and that pain stayed with her for the rest of her life. Even as a child, she was sensitive, shy, and deeply emotional. She struggled in school, not because she lacked intelligence, but because she lacked confidence. Teachers described her as kind, gentle, and caring, someone who felt the emotions of others deeply. No one imagined that this quiet girl would one day become the most famous woman in the world. In the late 1970s, Diana's life changed forever. Prince Charles, the heir to the British throne, was looking for a suitable bride. Diana was young, innocent, and seemed perfect for the role. The royal family saw her as ideal, polite, beautiful, and uncontroversial. Diana was only 19 years old. She barely understood what royal life truly meant. The courtship was brief and formal. Diana felt chosen, honored, and overwhelmed. To the public, behind the scenes, Diana battled loneliness, self-doubt, and depression. The fairy tale was already cracking, but the world could not see it yet. And as the years passed, that crack would turn into a fracture that changed the royal family forever. After the wedding celebrations ended, the silence began. Inside the palace, Diana quickly realized she was alone. Prince Charles was kind in public, but distant in private. He was older, emotionally reserved, and still deeply connected to another woman from his past. Diana sensed it almost immediately, though no one spoke about it openly. Royal life followed rigid rules. Every word, every gesture, every expression was controlled. Diana was expected to adapt without complaint. But she was struggling. The pressure of constant attention from the media became unbearable. Cameras followed her everywhere. Headlines judged her clothes, her smile, her weight. Diana felt watched even when she was alone. She began to suffer from depression and an eating disorder, something unheard of to discuss within royal circles at the time. Instead of support, she found silence. Yet, something remarkable happened. Despite her pain, Diana connected deeply with people. When she visited hospitals, she listened. When she met children, she knelt to their level. When she touched the sick, she did so without fear. The public began to fall in love with her. She was not a distant royal figure. She was human. The birth of her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, brought Diana moments of joy. She was a devoted mother, determined to give her children warmth and affection she herself had missed. But behind closed doors, her marriage continued to crumble. Charles and Diana grew further apart. Misunderstandings turned into resentment. Love turned into formality. And then, the whispers began. Stories of affairs. Private conversations leaking into public headlines. Royal secrets becoming public drama. Diana felt betrayed, not just by her husband, but by the institution she had trusted. As her popularity soared, tensions inside the royal family increased. Diana's emotional openness clashed with the monarchy's tradition of silence. She was becoming something dangerous. A royal who showed feelings. And soon, the world would hear her voice in a way no one expected. A voice that would shake the monarchy to its core. By the early 1990s, the fairy tale was completely broken. The marriage between Charles and Diana existed only in name. Behind palace walls, there was no trust, no intimacy, and no peace. Diana felt trapped. She was expected to smile, wave, and remain silent while her personal life unraveled in front of the world. The pressure became unbearable, and for the first time, Diana decided to break the royal rule that had always protected the monarchy. Silence. In 1995, Diana agreed to a televised interview that would change everything. When she sat down in front of the camera, she spoke calmly, but her words were powerful. She talked openly about her mental health, her struggles with bulimia, and the loneliness she felt inside her marriage. Then came the sentence that stunned the world. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. With those words, Diana confirmed what millions had suspected. The monarchy was shaken. For the first time, a royal admitted pain, betrayal, and vulnerability on global television. Some praised her courage. Others accused her of damaging the institution. But Diana had finally reclaimed her voice. Public support for her grew even stronger. People saw her not as a princess, but as a woman fighting to survive in an impossible situation. Inside the palace, the response was cold. The Queen ordered the couple to divorce. In 1996, Charles and Diana officially separated. Diana lost the title of Her Royal Highness, but she kept something far more important. Her independence. Free from royal constraints, Diana began to redefine herself. She focused on humanitarian work, traveling to war zones, hugging AIDS patients, and campaigning against landmines. She was no longer just a royal figure. She was becoming a global symbol of compassion. But with freedom came new dangers. The media attention intensified. Every relationship, every movement, every emotion was tracked relentlessly. Diana was learning to live in the spotlight on her own terms. She had no idea that time was running out. And that the world would soon witness the most tragic chapter of her life. After the divorce, Diana stepped into a new chapter of her life. She was no longer protected by palace walls, but she was finally free to be herself. Diana threw her heart into humanitarian work. She visited hospitals where AIDS patients had been treated as untouchable. She sat beside them, held their hands, and showed the world that compassion was stronger than fear. Then she went further. In war-torn countries, Diana walked through active landmine fields, wearing protective gear, turning a global spotlight on an invisible crisis. Her image, walking bravely across dangerous ground, shocked world leaders into action. She was using her fame not for luxury, but for humanity. But freedom came with a heavy price. The media followed her relentlessly. Photographers chased her cars, tracked her holidays, and turned every private moment into public property. Diana felt hunted. During this time, she began a relationship with Dodi Fayed. For the first time in years, she seemed happy, relaxed, and hopeful. The world watched closely, speculating about marriage and a new life away from royal control. But the attention became dangerous. On the night of August 31, 1997, Diana left a hotel in Paris with Dodi. Paparazzi surrounded the car, chasing it through the city streets. Moments later, everything changed. The car crashed inside a tunnel. By the time help arrived, it was too late. Princess Diana was gone. The news stunned the world. Crowds gathered in silence. Flowers covered palace gates. Grown men cried openly. A generation felt as though it had lost someone personal. The woman who had survived royal pressure, public judgment, and personal heartbreak was gone at just 36 years old. And the world was left asking one painful question. Could this tragedy have been prevented? The death of Princess Diana changed the world. In the days that followed the crash, Britain stood still. Millions of people filled the streets, laying flowers, lighting candles, and writing letters filled with grief. It was not just the loss of a princess, it was the loss of someone who felt human, vulnerable, and real. The royal family faced intense criticism for their silence. The public demanded emotion, empathy, and acknowledgement. Eventually, the Queen addressed the nation, honoring Diana not as a royal title, but as a mother and a woman who had touched lives across the globe. Diana's funeral was watched by over 2 billion people. As her coffin passed through the streets of London, the world mourned together. But Diana's story did not end with her death. Her work continued to inspire change. Campaigns against landmines gained momentum and led to international action. Her openness about mental health helped break global silence. Her compassion toward the sick reshaped how the world viewed kindness and leadership. Her sons, William and Harry, carried her legacy forward. They spoke openly about their grief, their mental health struggles, and the lessons their mother taught them: to care, to listen, and to stand up for those without a voice. Princess Diana proved something extraordinary. You do not need power to change the world. You need empathy. She entered the royal family as a shy teenager and left the world as a symbol of love, courage, and humanity. History remembers many queens. But there was only one people's princess. And her light continues to shine, not from a palace, but from the hearts of millions who will never forget her.